Anyway, onto the movie. When I asked you about this last week, you were slightly cagey about it. And in fact, I've read a number of reviews that say, because after the first film, the expectations were so high because the first film was so lovely and so charming and did such a brilliant job of kind of, rebooting the Muppets. And there have been a lot of very sort of sniffy reviews. In fact, at the very beginning of the film, there's a very funny song written by Brett McKenzie called "We're Doing a Sequel," and and everyone knows the sequels aren't as good as the first one, but we got to keep doing it because the studio's waiting for Tom Hanks to make Toy Story 4.
And then some Muppet says it's not actually a sequel because we did 8 before.
It's Bunsen Honeydew says technically this is our 7th.
There you go.
Okay, now I started laughing during that song, and I have to say that I laughed consistently all the way through. And, whether it was the comedy Russian accents, I am Kermit the Frog, which I thought was funny every time they did it, to the jokes about putting on a show in the Siberian gulag ruled over by Tina Fey and turning the lights off and falling over. I thought that they could. Now, what it doesn't have is the sentimental charm and the sort of maybe perhaps the heart of the first film, because there was so much of that was to do with Jason Segel and Jason Segel's kind of input into it. And, he co-wrote it and he starred in it. And so it's much more like a series of gags, like a series of riffs. But I thought as a kind of endless supply of variety gags, which are, custard pie humour, silly slapstick, celebrity cameos everywhere, which again, some people have complained about and said there are too many of them. There aren't too many of them. They come, they go, they come, they go. Some of them are sort of regionally specific and British audiences will go, I'm sorry, I don't quite know who that is. But I laughed all the way through it, and I went with the family to see it in Seattle, and I sat and I sat in a cinema with a bunch of other people laughing every bit as much as I did, and I laughed consistently all the way through. Now, I know you don't feel the same way about it because I know you thought it was
just not quite as good as you do. I mean, it is very funny, and that opening, this is a sequel, tune is very good.
Really good.
It's very funny, and there are some really good laughs in it. But all I'm saying is, I felt the lack of heart a whole lot more. I just felt it didn't. The expectation is fantastically high, and you come out thinking that was pretty good, but nowhere near as good.
You didn't think that the pairing of Ty Burrell and Sam.
My favourite bit is Ty Burrell and Sam the American Eagle with all the jokes
about the French
going on holiday and having small cars.
Because every time something's about to happen, he has to take a lunch break. And every time they're about to crack a case, he has to go on 6 weeks annual holiday.
So for the Muppets to have jokes, presumably about the European Work Directive, that is quite an achievement. So there are lots and lots of laugh out loud moments. It's just that when you want it to be 5 out of 5 and it ends up as 3 out of 5, it's just.
I don't think it's 3. I think it's 4. I mean, I think it's more consistently funny than you do all the way through. And I think the whole thing about the contrived caper narrative, where everywhere they go to a stereotype. Whether it's they arrive in London and it's Big Ben, or they France and all the jokes about the French, or the Irish with he was making them about saying flat caps. All that stuff, it works. And I always judge comedies on, do I laugh in them? Does it pass the 6 laugh rule? The 6 laugh rule was passed by the end of the first song. I mean, those songs are smart, funny songs. The working in a coal mine sequence was really funny. Good. The Shawshank Redemption joke was funny. It was consistently funny all the way through, and I was there with a range of ages, from teenager to old so-and-so like me, and we all laughed all the way through. And I'm not having any of the Waldorf and Statler naysaying.
Statler and Waldorf.
Whichever. It's really funny.